Hello food fans, going to have a delicious breakfast today. Yes, breakfast, the first meal of the day for most of us. And we are going to have a nutritious breakfast. We're going to have a low-cost breakfast. We're going to have an easy-to-fix breakfast and one that you will enjoy eating. It just plain tastes good. We're going to have, in this case, Total, actually a brand name cereal. And I'm using it not because they are a sponsor or anything, because they are not. I'm using that because it has some of the vitamins that we supposedly each need each day. We're also going to have some raisin bran mixed in with the Total. And we're going to have a different type of beverage. We're going to have a dry beverage. Is that possible? We're going to have dry, non-fat milk. Most people don't use that, but that is a very good substitute for milk, and it will last in the cupboard without refrigeration for months if you decide to do so. But it is a good way to start the day, so let's get started. And the formula calls for about 1/3 of a cup of the dry milk solids and 2/3 of a cup of water, and just stir it until you're happy with the consistency, and you will be paying about $1 a quart when you reconstitute the contents of the package, which is enough to make 20 quarts of dry milk, and it is about $1 a quart. Now we'll add the cereal. There's the raisin bran in there. I will still be adding the Total, and the Total comes to about $5 a package. That would make 10 servings, and the raisin bran comes to about $3 for a package. That would make 10 servings. There is the Total, which gives you a lot of vitamins and minerals, a full day's recommended allowance. Stir that in there. We'll have Total and raisin bran mixed with the non-fat dry milk, and you'll have a meal here that's nutritious and tasty for under $5. And while the cereal doesn't smell as good as perhaps a baked chicken dinner, it has lots of 11 vitamins, 100% of your daily requirement or daily suggested allowance. See if we can keep the cat away long enough to do this video. Kitty cat is named Spots. When he was a kitty he was Dots, but now he's almost grown up, so he's Spots. Talk a little bit about the movie extra business. I was a movie extra for more than 25 years in Southern California, and quite often in a TV show or movie one of the actors might have had a background of being an athlete. Let me keep eating here. And I got to work with several people who started out making a name for themselves in football uniforms and basketball players and so on. And I know very little sports. But I worked with Bubba Smith in a show called Bringing Up Jack. Bubba Smith was a former football player, professional football player. And he and I did a comedy routine, a dance. I was Abe Lincoln, he was Bubba Smith. And we were doing a dance. There was a dream sequence. I was having a dream, and Abe Lincoln was dreaming that he was dancing with Bubba Smith. And Bubba Smith was one of the few people I worked with who was taller than myself. He was 6'7" in height. A very nice person. Cereal's quite good. And as I said, it has 11 vitamins and minerals, 100% of your daily allowance if you take the recommended amount of cereal. It doesn't taste as good as Spam, but Spam wouldn't have the 11 vitamins and minerals. Also, you can eat with cereal as your main ingredient and remain healthy. As far as I know, I don't know of anything in the cereal that would be bad for you. I'm sure it has sugar in there. So anyway, it is quite good tasting, but not probably as good tasting as some of the frozen fried chicken meals. Bubba Smith was very nice. We talked a lot on the set. We had a lot of moments in front of the camera. Also worked with Magic Johnson in a show called Pursuit of Happiness. Didn't get a chance to talk with Magic Johnson. He also was taller than I was. Magic Johnson could have made it as an actor. Did a good job. But of course he was Magic on the basketball court. Is it called the basketball court? Worked with Clay Hodges quite often. He was a non-professional boxer who was also a movie extra, and part of his resume would be that I guess he's the only person who fought George Foreman twice and won. Clay Hodges won the boxing match. He again was a very pleasant person to work with, and I worked with him on dozens of movies and TV series. I was on the set of Quincy, and I worked 17 different Quincy episodes, but the one I'm about to talk about, we were doing a series of scenes at the Ambassador Hotel. The Ambassador Hotel no longer exists in Southern California. But It was used quite often in TV shows and movies. More cereal, more cereal, more cereal, more cereal, more cereal, more. They had a scene where Quincy, who is Jack Klugman, somehow gets involved with a governor's convention. There's a governor's convention taking place, and Quincy has to solve some situation, but we broke for lunch. I sat at a table with about 10 other people. Some of them were people who worked in front of the camera, some were people who worked behind camera, and I had seen some of their faces before, so it was not uncommon to see a face. You know, there's a familiar face, don't know who it is, familiar face. More cereal. So at some point I was talking with some extra about something that had to do with being an extra, and one of the fellows at the table said, "Oh, you're a movie extra. Can you tell me, how does a person go about getting into the movie extra business?" And so I began to tell him about Central Casting and Richmar Casting and Producers Casting, Hollywood Casting, different places where movie extras are hired, sort of like a hiring hall for movie extras, the different casting agencies, and one has to be registered with casting agencies. And they have two kinds of extras, union and non-union, and the union extras get paid quite a bit more, but anyway, I was one of the union extras. And so the fellow had asked me, how does someone go about getting into the movie extra business? And so I told him about the casting agencies, how you get registered with them, how you get into the union by contacting, at that time, that would have been the Screen Extras Guild. And so we had a nice conversation. And he was one of the actors, by the way, in the scene with Jack Klugman. And he had to get back to the set to do his scene as soon as lunch was finished, and so he left the table. And one of the extras at the table said to me, "Tom, I didn't know you knew him." I said, I don't know him. And I said, "Who is it?" And he said, "That's Rafer Johnson." And I certainly knew the name Rafer Johnson. He was an Olympic athlete, a decathlon gold medal winner, and he also won silver medals in different categories, I think mainly in the decathlon. And the person who wins a decathlon at the Olympics happens once every 4 years, and that person is considered to be the athlete of the year. And so I had been talking with an Olympic level athlete, and he also happened to be a Screen Actors Guild actor. Very pleasant person. And so I walked over to where he was standing in a separate, there's a different room from where we were eating lunch. There was a room they were getting set up for the next scene. And I walked over to him and I said, I didn't realize you were Rafer Johnson. Forgive me for not recognizing you right away. He said, "Oh, that's all right." And it seems he was gathering information for a nephew of his who wanted to get into movies, and people who get into Screen Extras Guild quite often get into the acting scenes very quickly. And so we had a nice conversation, and he, Rafer Johnson, got me more money than I would have had normally on a show. He saw to it that in the scene, he said the scene would work better if this fellow shakes hands with that principal there, who's, anyway, he got a scene where I was shaking hands with one of the principal actors, and that led to what is known as a silent bit. I made more money, and so I can say that Rafer Johnson helped me, and in addition to being a nice person, he got me a little upgrade that worked out quite well for my bank account. Let me have some more cereal here. And that does happen in movies, especially in Southern California. I don't know if it still happens, but it used to be that quite often extras would know actors, who would know assistant directors, who would know the director, who would know one of the movie stars or whatever. And people knew each other, and they had conversations on the set. Sometimes they knew who they were talking to, and sometimes I know I didn't always know who I was talking to. But a lot of very nice athletes in movies. Also worked with Arnold Schwarzenegger, who started as a bodybuilder, muscle man. And he knew he had a good sense of humor, and he knew that he could do action movies, but Hollywood wasn't quite ready for him, and they just cast him in a movie where he was just someone with muscles. And there were other athlete type people who got into movies either as extras who were boxers, or extras who were, I saw a situation one time where we went to Dodger Stadium, and they had extras playing the part of a baseball team, and some of the extras were pretty good at hitting the ball into the stands. Well, that's enough of the cereal. The cereal is quite good, and now it's time for the secret dessert. And the reason it's a secret dessert is because I could have a banana and call that dessert, or I could cheat. Since I've had my 11 vitamins and minerals, I could have an 84-cent pie. And these are good, and this is cherry pie, and this comes from Walmart, and it has good pie crust. It looks like a pie, tastes like a pie, but it's an individual serving, and at 84 cents it's a bargain. Well, thank you for coming over and telling me your stories. This will be an unusual video in that it doesn't have a beverage associated with it other than the milk, non-fat dry milk. So what I'll do is have a little bit of milk and do the art filter over it. It's good. And the non-fat dry milk does taste like regular milk, at least to my taste buds. And I thank you for watching.